Buenas noches. A recap. For those of you that may have joined halfway through this last, 3-4 weeks, purely of the speed of light, and a couple of questions make me realise that a lot of you are wondering, what am I on about? What I'm on about is two things. The speed of light, travelling at 299,792 kilometres per second, and the Egyptians, 25,000 Egyptians, somehow building pyramids. Now, the speed of light, first of all, these are the two main things from each of them, okay? If we divide the sun's diameter, and remember, flat earthers, I'm not saying Earth is round. I'm going through this as I know best, okay? Sun's diameter, 1,390,000 kilometers. If we divide the sun's diameter by the speed of light, we get the number 4.6. That means that it takes the sun 4.6 seconds to radiate its own light the distance of its own diameter. 3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, 4.6. That would have been close. That should be enough. That should be enough. People should see this and go, what the? But no, it's massive. It's massive, they say. That's why it takes so long. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. During the solar eclipse, when people find themselves here, that sweet spot on planet Earth, looking up through the moon, and they have the sun, and they can see the sun's corona around the outside of the moon. In this moment, when people are in that sweet spot, what is happening cannot function with finite light and photons. The sun is radiating absolute light. There is no delay. How do we know there is no delay? Because during the solar eclipse, when the people are looking up through the moon, all the way up through the sun, there are 4 things in line. The sun, the moon in front of it, the shadow from the moon coming down, and the sweet spot on planet Earth that people find themselves in for that unbelievable moment. How on earth can there be a delay of 8 minutes and 20 seconds for photons to make their way to the moon that 1.3 seconds later casts its shadow onto Earth? How is it possible that photons have been traveling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds to arrive here at the same time? That's Daisy the cow, by the way. At the same time as people on planet Earth are seeing the sun's corona around the moon. How is it possible that the light source that radiated those photons 8 minutes and 20 seconds earlier is still directly behind the photons? It is the light source that is casting the shadow. It's the moon casting the shadow, but it is blocking the actual light source itself. It is blocking the light source, not photons that have been traveling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds. 4.6 seconds. If it took 4.6 seconds for the sun to radiate its light, the distance of its diameter, we have 108 sun diameters in between Earth and the sun. The sun would not be here when people were in the sweet spot. The sweet spot is created by the moon blocking the absolute light radiating from the sun. Let's go over to the pyramids. Not the pyramids, just Pyramid Giza. That's enough. We have 25,000 Egyptians. This is the popular belief, okay? It's the latest craze. 25,000 Egyptians. Now, we're talking about the 2.3 million 2.5 ton stones, not the rest of the pyramid, not the 60-ton block and the 40-ton block and X amount of, I don't know how many ton blocks, granite as well, Egyptians with copper hand tools. Really? If we divide 2.3 million 2.5 ton stones by 25,000 Egyptians, it works out to be 92 2.5 ton stones per Egyptian. Quarrying, transporting, dragging through desert, and building, stacking them on top of each other. How? The crazy thing about this is there still isn't a single logical answer for how even one 2.5 ton stone was quarried out of any quarry face, any wall, any quarry wall, limestone, sandstone, or any other, with copper hand tools. How on earth? There's a billion, no, I'm exaggerating. There are loads of theories on it. The Egyptians did this, they did that, and they poured them here, and then they used water to elevate them up. The insults to people's intelligence is off the scales, okay? Now, 92 each. If we multiply that by 2.5 tons, it comes out to be 230 tons per Egyptian. And that is just the basic building blocks. There are plenty more, and they weigh more than 2.5 tons. That's the recap. These two things are monsters, because this one, the speed of light, they tell us that the stars in the night sky, that the light has been traveling for X amount of years, and there is always a chance that the stars that you're seeing are already gone. If it's taken that long for light to get here, they could be snuffed out already. Whoosh! It's ridiculous. Every single light source a person ever sees, right? It is in the sky exactly where it seems to be, right? I say sky. It doesn't matter where the light source is. If you are seeing it, there is one very basic reason why you are seeing it. And that reason is because it is powerful enough to be detected by your eyesight. That is it. If a light source is out of range, or you're out of range, it switches on and you're expecting a light source for some reason. If you don't see it from the onset, you're never going to see it. It's not going to travel to you after the fact. It will radiate its light at absolute speed. This 5, 6, 7 kilometers if somebody's looking in this direction, but at absolute speed. If we treble this, the diameter, make it about a 15 centimeter bulb, then it's going to radiate that much further at absolute speed. You have a star with a diameter of 1,390,000 kilometers, and it switches on. It lights the entire solar system up in a jiffy, we could say. There was somebody on Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Earth, Venus, and Mercury, and everybody had their fingers on a button, and everybody was wired into a main box. If the sun turned either off or on, and everybody was told to be ready for whatever it was going to do, if it went off, everybody would go at the very same time. There would be no measurable delay. You would not find a pattern that would suggest the people on Mercury saw it before the people at the end planet Pluto. There would be no obvious sign that there was any delay. None. How do we know? Firstly, 4.6 seconds for a star. Now, I could bring up UY Scuti real quick. UY Scuti with a diameter of 2.3 7 billion kilometers. We're going to, we're well under the 15, aren't we? Oh, we're on 10, plenty of time. I'm going to do it over here because it's got a bit more room. This is not anything to do with the pyramids, obviously. UY Scooty with a diameter of 2.377 billion kilometers. If we divide that by the speed of light, 299,792 kilometers per second, we get, oh, we did it not long ago, 7,928. I'm sure it is 7,000. 7,000. Oh, 7,020. Look, 7,928. I'm going to gamble here. What we do know is if we divide whatever it is, Alexa, what is 2,377,000,000 divided by 299,792?
2,377,000,000 divided by 299,792 is approximately 7,928.8307.
If we divide that by 60, that is seconds. It takes UY Scooty, one of the biggest stars ever discovered, right? 7,928 seconds to radiate its light the distance of its diameter. And if we divide those seconds by 60, we get 132, because the end result is 2 hours and 12 minutes. So when we think of the sun radiating its own light, the distance of its diameter, and taking 4.6 seconds, you have to feel for poor UY Scooty. It takes UY Scooty 2 hours and 12 minutes to radiate its light the distance of its diameter. These things are insane, an insult to people's intelligence. These two things, there is so much riding on them. You've got the stars in the night sky. The age of the universe is worked out with light traveling at 299,792 kilometers per second. We have relativity and everything it comes with. That is why they're pushing this, right? There is no evidence for it. Solar eclipse came well before Einstein, before Newton, before Copernicus, before everybody. And we wouldn't think that over the years the solar eclipses have changed, would we? When you're in that sweet spot moment and you're looking up at the moon and you can see the sun's corona around the moon, there is only one thing happening, and there is only one thing that is possible to be happening. The sun is radiating absolute light and the moon is blocking the absolute light radiating from the sun. Another thing, I have been asking everyone, I say everyone, the people that talk about the theoretical and hypothetical photons and gluons and neutrinos, why is the sun directly behind the moon during a solar eclipse? Where is the 2.08 degree spin of Earth on anti-clockwise? Earth spins 2.08 degrees anti-clockwise on its axis in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That's how long it takes for the photons, 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the sun to radiate its light to the moon, which 1.3 seconds later, shadow hits Earth in the sweet spot. How? They cannot line up. It does not matter what people state and some of the explanations, guys, making no sense. There is no answer. This is the thing. There is no answer for how even one stone was carved out of anywhere, 2.5 ton stone out of anywhere, with copper hand tools. I am not the problem. At the moment, TikTok has stopped one of my last posts, and I lit up a bulb with a battery that was dead, and we could not see that bulb at the end of the garden at night, last night. But when we walked up to it, as we got closer, oh, there it is, it appeared. So what was happening there? What was happening there is that bulb did not have the legs to radiate its light, even to us 30 meters here in this shed. But the light that it did radiate, maybe 10 meters or something, would have been at absolute speed. You turn it on, bang, see it straight away. Flashlight, that light bulb, 5 centimeter, you turn it on, it doesn't matter how far. The furthest that people can detect that light is, and it doesn't matter how many people you put in between the bulb and that point, the furthest it will radiate. If you go like this, and you've got people every 100 meters, for example, up to 7 kilometers, right to the very edge of where this will radiate, where people can see it with their eyesight. You turn it on, bang. If you have people wide in, same as Pluto to Mercury, you would not find a measurable delay that would suggest the person stood next to it right here and the person 7 k's away, doop, doop. There would be no indication of any delay. And that is exactly the same as every single light source in the universe. If you can see a light source in the night sky, you are seeing it because it is powerful enough to reach your eyesight. If it isn't powerful enough, you don't ever see it. The end. Nothing travels without light. Does not travel without a light source. There can be no light without a light source. The sun goes out, all of the light that it was radiating disappears in an instant. I do have to go back to that stick shot. Oh, money back, sir. I think that's going to be close to 15. That was a recap. Oh, 17? That was a recap. Okay? The pyramids and the speed of light. The pyramids, Egyptians had nothing to do with it. What that proves is there was obviously an ancient civilization well before us. 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, we don't know. To think that we are it. I mean, seriously, it's crazy. Megaliths, there's stones everywhere, buildings that you look at them. How on earth did this lot do it? No, loads of people going, we could easily do the pyramids. Probably do them in a couple of weekends. Because everybody thinks everything is easy. So many growing up with smartphones, convinced that everything is easy, but no hands-on. A lot of people haven't gotten their hands dirty once, but they think they know everything about the pyramids. It had nothing to do with the Egyptians. It is as logistically impossible now as it was back then, because there is no answer for how even one stone was quarried out of anywhere with copper hand tools. And this one, the sun, 4.6 seconds. UY Scooty, 2 hours and 12 seconds. 12 minutes. 2 hours and 12 minutes for it to get its light from here to there. People, you're having your intelligence insulted. The lies are right in front of you. And another thing, TikTok, like I said, has just decided to, still waiting for an outcome. It's everywhere else. Guys, seriously. Indigo C1 at Rumble, because I've noticed that YouTube is fairly selective as well. So follow me on Rumble. I am not talking horseradish. I am fighting the horseradish. Okay? The more I push, the more they try to censor me. And I am not saying anything that is a state secret, or that is, it belongs to somebody and it's got a patent to it and I'm breaking the law. I am talking basic common sense. I am talking to believe what you see with your eyes. Can you not see this? It's about common sense. Solar eclipse, the speed of light, nothing to do with science, because common sense came long before the science. Anybody who has witnessed a solar eclipse should understand that there is no light delay. Those things cannot be lined up the way they are if there was a light delay. And that is a fact. You need to stop finding these bizarre explanations for something that simply cannot be. And as for the Egyptians, well, unbelievable. That was the recap. I might still do the 8mm bulb as a sun. That's another thing. We have time. Somebody said to me, 21, we've got till 30. Somebody said to me, right, let's just rub this out now. Talking about the 8mm light bulb that I'm using for the sun. I'm using an 8mm light bulb for the sun. The reason I picked an 8mm is because Pluto, if I use an 8mm sun, forget Pluto for a second, there are 108 sun diameters in between Earth and the sun. 108. So we have Earth and we have the sun. We know there are 108 because we divide the distance of 150 million kilometers by the sun's diameter, right? So look, let's just put it in there. So 1,390,000 divide the distance of 150 million kilometers and we get 107.9. We call it 108. There are 108 sun diameters in between planet Earth and the sun. That's if everything is round. Flat earthers, you know, I am not saying that everything is round. I am explaining things like I know how, okay? It could be flat, and I'm sure if it is flat, there is obviously a logical explanation. I just cannot spread myself that thin. There are 108 sun diameters in between planet Earth and the sun. I decided to use an 8mm bulb. If we multiply that 8mm bulb by 108, because I am keeping things perfectly to scale, we get, it was 86.4. 86.4. 64, 8, right. So it's 86.4 centimeters. That is perfectly to scale, right? A star with a diameter of 1,390,000 kilometers being 150 million kilometers away from Earth is the exact same as an 8mm bulb being 86.4 centimeters away from a tiny speck of a planet Earth. It doesn't matter what size Earth is. This is about how long it takes for the light to radiate to Earth. The real thing we know the real thing takes 4.6 seconds per diameter, multiplied by 108 of those diameters, you get 500 seconds. That is your 8 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm using an 8mm light bulb. I want to keep everything to scale. The distance of 150 million kilometers shrinks down to 86.4 centimeters. Now, if we observe the light radiating from that 8mm bulb to the planet Earth, 86.4 centimeters away, if it goes at the same rate as the sun radiates its light up there, it will take 8 minutes and 20 seconds, because it is to scale. Everything is shrunk down, including the rate at which the sun radiates its light. The person that said, yeah, no, it's all well and good that you shrunk the sun and you shrunk the distance and yada yada, but light is still going to travel. No, it's not. The reason that I brought it down to that size is so that we can see what it looks like when an 8mm light bulb takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to cover the distance of 86.4 centimeters. Because that is what the sun is doing up there. Now, it's ridiculous, okay? It just is. It's about common sense. It isn't about science. Rumble. I will, one day, I thought they would just stop posting my stuff. Boom, Facebook, boom, Instagram, boom, TikTok. And I'll just fizzle away. But I will still be banging away on Rumble, because it's important that people understand that these are absurdities. There's a lot riding on this, people's common sense. You need to start seeing things for what they are. Rumble. Indigo, capital C, 1. Guys, before they drop kick me, it's about common sense, it isn't about science. It's about bringing some normality back into the mix. Hey mate. All right, that's my boy. Later peeps.